Hello, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Thursday night Facebook Live. I'm just waiting for Luke to join us again. Luke's going to be coming back with us for this second week to have further conversations about fresh, raw diets. So hopefully he will join us in a second. A little bit early tonight. Hope everybody's had a really good week and enjoying the heat. It's absolutely boiling here. I don't think our doggies appreciate it too much, it being so hot. Just come back with Lola after about 30 seconds, and she was so hot she just wanted to get back in. So I think they're feeling it a little bit in this kind of heat. So right, okay. I think that might be Luke. Luke, if that's you, do you want to just pop me a message and then I can add you on? If that was Luke, hoping it was. Hopefully this week as well, because I know at the start of last week's live, a few attempts, Luke kind of cut off because his Wi-Fi signal wasn't so great. So hopefully this week we can kind of keep him with us right from the start, so I don't end up repeating myself 3 or 4 times. But yeah, still waiting. There he is. Hi. Right. Okay. Hello, Luke. Right. Let's get you on. Yes, just adding Luke now, hopefully. Like I say, hopefully we can we can get cracking straight away with this week's talk. Hello, good evening. How are you?
Very good, thank you. It should all go well this evening. I'm in a good, well Wi-Fi area, so it should be fine.
That's brilliant. I was just saying, what a beautiful day. It's been really hot over your way as well, hasn't it? I think.
Oh, it's all gone.
There's me saying I'm hoping it's not going to go, and he's gone again. I think we're probably going to have this 2 or 3 times, like as a technical sort of issue. Oh, you're back
I'm
again.
back again. Hello.
Are you sat where you were sat last?
I am exactly the same
Are you sat where
position.
you were sat last week?
Hopefully, it'll just do this a few times, and then we'll be away again like we were last time.
Yeah, well, I was just saying that. I just said that hopefully we won't have too many glitches to start with, but just saying about how hot it's been today. And
Is everyone
for us,
enjoying
never
the
mind
hot
our
weather?
dogs.
That's the
So
main
it's,
thing.
you know, I like hot weather, but today's been phenomenally kind of like close, and took Lola out for about 30 seconds, and she just literally turned around and walked back towards the house. It was like, no, I'm not doing
Me and my
this.
friend were, me and my friend were out at about 7:30 this morning, 8 o'clock, and we were down the river. We were getting in and walking the dogs through the river, getting them to have a swim, and then I've been at home all day and just been relaxing.
Yeah. Hi, Elaine. Elaine's joined us, so hi. And hi. Thanks, everybody, for kind of taking the time out this evening. I know it's a beautiful evening, and obviously it's like barbecue weather and stuff, so it's really good that everybody's taken the time out to join us for our talk again this week, which we're obviously just going to be continuing from last week. We're going to be picking Luke's brains, just really talking a little bit more about the transition from different types of food to like fresh, natural raw diet. So yeah, we'll get cracking with that in a second. We didn't have many questions, unfortunately, from last week. We had Catherine who mentioned about yeast problems, so perhaps we can kind of touch on that first of all, before we get cracking with anything else. So yeah, what are your thoughts on that, Luke?
So we'll talk about yeast. Just first things first. If anyone has some great ideas about how to keep your dogs cool from days like today, please do post below and let us know what awesome ideas you have to keep your dogs cool. My friend's got a pretty good idea. He's got a grass hose, like a grass sprinkler, and then he'll turn it on whenever his sort of dog gets overheated, and then his dog will go and lay down underneath it, and it'll just sprinkle him with water. It's quite fun.
Yeah, there's like these little paddling pools that you can actually get specifically for dogs now, aren't there? So it's good idea.
No, very much. And I've seen loads of pictures of people with ice lollies feeding, giving them to their dogs and things like this, and people come up with all sorts of ideas to keep them cool. It's always good to
see. Yeah, or like Marge just doesn't want to go out in the heat.
So do you want to go for what? They look at you and go, not really, no.
No.
Not really interested. Anyway, right, we'll start to talk about yeast. What is it, I guess, to begin with? Yeast is a fungal organism, so it's a fungal organism. It lives in the gut and on the skin. Yeast, you don't really tend to see a problem from unless you get an unbalance, and then you'll start to see it rise in problems like itchy skin, yeasty ears, respiratory problems. It can show itself in so many different forms of yeast infections or yeast problems that it's pretty crazy, and that's why in this subject, I want to try and hit all of it rather than just the one nutritional aspect of it, because yeast infections go so much more deeper than just food. I mean, like epigenetics.
Oh, we've lost Luke.
Can
Hopefully,
hear
we'll be back
me?
in a minute. It's talking about
You back?
epigenetics. Oh, you're back.
I'm back.
No.
Right, yeah. Where was I? Hang on.
You said about epigenetics.
Yeah, so yeah, yeast is something that can it can be aggravated by so many things. So if you've got something that's going to upset the gut, that'll upset yeast like multiplication and proliferation muchly. Like if you're feeding a bad diet, yeast can multiply very fast and cause problems for your dog. If you're eating a healthy diet, it keeps that balanced and make sure it keeps the blood sugar levels balanced. I guess some of the symptoms can be like itchy skin, hot spots, ear infections, red skin, all the things that I presume everyone on here to try and alleviate, because we all get annoyed when we're trying to go to bed at night and you've got a dog itchy and going, oh. It can be quite annoying. We'll talk a little bit about the root cause of it. So I think a lot of yeast. Oh, we're gone again. We're back again.
You're back again.
I think a lot of yeast problems are caused by inflammation. Now, inflammation will cause unbalance within the body, because we were talking about homeostasis last time, and that is a very big point here. So, yeah, it can cause unbalances within the body, and this causes problems. So, let's say, for example, you're feeding your dog a processed, a high refined carbohydrate diet, so things with white rice in, potatoes, and these different types of foods, they're very high in sugars that are easily broken down. So if your dog is consuming refined carbohydrates, it's broken down very quickly, getting into the bloodstream very quickly. The body's having a bit of a problem dealing with all this sugar going into the bloodstream. It's causing a bit of an AWOL problem. And when the sugar is very high in the bloodstream, yeast can multiply much faster, and this then causes an imbalance in the gut because there's not enough healthy bacteria to keep the yeast stabilized. So now yeast multiplies, erupts, and then we start seeing things all over the skin, as in like scratching and itching. And
would you say, Luke? Sorry to cut across you. Then would you say that it's mainly a food intolerance or sensitivity problem or imbalance problem? It's only food that can cause those yeast problems.
No. So yeast can be caused by many different things. So many different things which add into it becoming a big problem. And like you can have a yeast problem and think it's food, but yet it's an
Hi, Gemma. Just while we get Luke back. Good to have you watching tonight.
Hello. Yeah, so it can be anything like an allergen as well. So if your immune system starts to respond to an allergen and starts to, well, fight it as they do and protect the body, this then causes imbalance again. And if the immune system is dysfunctional because of things in the environment, allergens, this then enables the body to, or enables yeast to grow because it's not being kept in check, if you understand what I mean. So what's balance go wrong, I mean, animals you can then start to see problems pop up all over the place rather than just localized. Like, so nutrition is a very important point, I think, with yeast, and you can very much prevent it and help with it, which we will go on to in a little while. I mean, very much so. There's a lot of methods out there which are given by science which will help with these problems, which we probably should move on to. On the nutrition side of things, I spoke about the blood sugar levels and things like that. What we should be trying to feed is more complex carbohydrates and low glycemic carbohydrates. By these, I mean carbohydrates or vegetables which break down very slowly in the gut and therefore release into the bloodstream much slower, enabling the body to control the blood sugar levels and then not aggravate the problem of yeast and having it multiply like crazy in the gut. Because once you've got a gut which is a very healthy environment for yeast to grow, it's quite hard to get it to go back into a healthy gut environment where it promotes health rather than drains it as such. Is there any questions so
So
far?
can certain sugars in the diet then, so certain kind of root veg and
Yeah, so if you're
maybe
yeah,
fruits and things in the diet, they can exacerbate the sugar
yeah.
sort of like
So if
problem?
you're feeding refined sugars, so things like white potato, grains, white rice, things that are broken down very quickly in the body, this is where you're going to get your spikes in blood sugar levels. So that's where you're going to cause problems. However, if you're
Yeah,
feeding a fresh food diet, let's say, and you've got a lot of complex carbohydrates in there, you've got some high quality proteins, this is going to make it much easier for your dog to break down, because dogs are designed to break down proteins into glucose anyway, rather than carbohydrates. But they can still do
yeah.
both because they are survival machines and they're very good at it.
Hmm.
Yeah. There's a few other things. So like things that people can do are the diet side of things. So it will be adding good quality proteins, complex carbohydrates, which are going to be slow
Yeah,
down, and therefore it can be controlled within the body. Another great thing to add would be probiotics. So a yeast infection normally rises because there's not enough good bacteria in the gut to keep balance.
yeah,
So what we need to
yeah,
be doing is adding good bacteria. So we need to be adding good
yeah,
bacteria into the gut to help control
yeah,
these yeast levels. And once we start to see healthy bacteria start to come back up and become level again, you should start to see the yeast
yeah.
problem like steady down a bit. I
Yeah,
guess
yeah. So probiotic is quite a good thing to have
yeah,
then to actually rebalance that. Yeah,
very much so.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
another really good thing to get onto is a good quality omega-3 insulin and a good ratio as well.
yeah,
An absolute great product would just be the Skin and Coat from the Proflax range.
yeah,
I mean, they've got so much herbs in there and ingredients which are going to help no end anyway,
yeah,
especially in supporting the immune system, because an animal with yeast infections, immune system really needs to be supported, because it's
yeah, yeah,
because of all the inflammation around the body, and you're seeing all this itching. Once you itch and cause abrasions, infection can then get in. So you've
yeah,
got to think that the immune system spending all of its time fighting all these problems, but it's not actually fighting the cause of it. So you've got to help it
yeah,
and push it in the right
yeah,
direction to balance it out again.
yeah. Yeah, couple of things here. Tony's actually said my last Westie suffered yeast problems for much of his life. Vets were more interested in selling prescription shampoo than anything else,
Yeah.
which I knew then. What I know now regarding raw feeding. And then Elaine's kind of said, "What's the best diet to feed a dog with an extremely bad yeast infection?" She wants to try the whole prey diet.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, with the yeast, with the dogs with really bad yeast infections, I think to begin with, you want to be taking out as much of the sugar as you can out of the diet. So it needs to be a low glycemic diet anyway. So it needs to be a calorie restricted diet to make sure that your dog's not transforming so much carbohydrates into glucose to acetate the problems and make it worse. So yeah, stick to really low glycemic vegetables. Stick to high quality proteins. So your fresh foods, your raw meat, and things like that. If you stick to high quality proteins, that's going to help you because your dog's going to be able to break it down much better. Also, probiotics is another big thing. Adding probiotics into the dog's diet that's got yeast infections, that's absolutely great. Also, omegas, what we just commented on, the Skin and Coat and Proflax, that's absolutely brilliant to cover that aspect of things. On the diet side, I feel that that's as much as you're going to do to begin with. So this is going to be as much as you can do to start off, because a yeast infection can be caused by allergies as well. So you may find that you are feeding an allergen and that you need to actually do an elimination diet to find that and get rid of it to stop the problem being caused.
Yeah,
But then it can also be an allergen, like let's say, for instance, you bought a new TV and new plastic appliances are coated in, what are they coated in now? Anyway, so they're coated in a chemical which is proven by science to cause very severe allergic reactions in dogs and to actually bring sensitivities on. So when your dog is breathing this in, it can bring on sensitivities, and because it depletes the immune system, let's say, so the immune system suffers.
Well, there are so many environmental triggers that actually can really knock the immune system. But like you say, really, if they're genetically predisposed anyway to immune problems, then really it is just about keeping it as best that they can and feeding the correct diet and trying to avoid environmental allergens. But that's really hard.
Yeah, and as much as I try to keep this just about nutrition, I have probably going to have to go out of the nutrition aspect as well, because yeast infections you can start seeing these arise if you haven't got a very well ventilated area for your dog. So if you've got an area which is really stuffy, it's hot, well, much like we all feel today. If your dog's in this environment constantly, it's more than likely going to end up with a yeast infection because, you know, it's sweating, but not the dogs can sweat through the skin, but they can still get very greasy. And because they don't sweat, they don't wash any particles off their coat. So you've got to remember, you've got a coat which is harbouring so much bacteria in it that an infection can start up at any time, let's say.
And I suppose that's why the vets say, look, you know, a prescription kind of shampoo, isn't it? But I mean, I know that's kind of important, but then there's the root cause of it that's the more critical part of it.
Yeah, especially on the vet side of things, and I won't going to say too much about the vets because I don't like vet bashing, but then, and I'm not going to. On the vet side of things, the herbal shampoos they use, right, okay, but then they've still got nasty chemicals in there. If I was going to use a shampoo, I'd go for something with the ingredients along the lines of coconut, neem, sage.
Neem,
yeah. Very good for dogs with any yeast infections. I mean, extremely good. So you should be going for any product with neem in it because it's absolutely amazing. Rosemary, sage, and oatmeal as well. They are really great things for dogs which are suffering with yeast infections. And I'm not saying wash the dog every day, more like once a week. So you don't want to be completely stripping your dog's coat. You just want to be washing them up to soothe the skin to help keep it clean. Also a rinse, so you could use a white vinegar rinse and water, so 50% white vinegar, 50% water, and you could use this as a rinse. So you could, let's say, spray it over your dog and then just brush your dog, because what this will do is take all the spores off your dog that might be causing a reaction or a sensitivity. Yeah, so that's what I would say, and you can either make your own or Herbal Pet Supplies. She sells loads of herbal pet supplies, are really amazing, especially the shampoo and those types of things. So that's really good. So you can pick them up, and there are many suppliers out there which do sell herbal products along that range. You've just got to be making sure you're not putting any nasty chemicals on which are going to strip your dog's coat. The one thing you don't want to do is completely strip it of all the fats and oils that are on it, because this is going to cause a bigger problem. For your dog, because it's going to aggravate everything and make it worse.
Okay. Well, that's really good, useful information. So thanks for that.
I think one of the other big things is stress. So stress as well. Stress is, in the past year I've been researching a lot about how much it causes inflammation within the body. And if you can keep your dog less stressed, so if you've got a really anxious dog, you know, you can be like keeping them calm and this sort of stuff and giving them a less stressed lifestyle. You could be including herbs which are calming and relaxing. So this will help your dog just calm down and release its anxiety. Because if you've got a dog which is always stressed, it always feels anxiety, it's scared, this is going to cause problems also. Because, you know, people out there may feel as well, you know, if you become depressed in yourself, you know, you're sitting there and you're all clammy and you feel horrible, you've got loads of spots everywhere, and you go out and people can turn around to you and go, you just don't look very good. And it's that stress, it's the inflammation response from stress feeling that causes you to get greasy skin and, you know, and come out in spots and things like that.
So there's lots of factors really that, you know, it's the overall holistic approach.
And with yeast infections, I mean, yes, start at areas. So start with the diet. So if you want to start with the diet, start there, get as that as you can, and then move on down the lines of other problems that may be which are causing problems for your dog. So it can be as anything like I just said, as simple as you bought a new TV and your dog's reacting to stuff they've sprayed on the TV. It can be as simple as you've got plug-in air freshener and your dog is reacting to plug-in air freshener. I mean, I've worked with one dog which it was covered in scab all over it, and then she got rid of the air freshener. Like it took 6 weeks, and it had all its coat back, everything. You know, it's all absolutely fine. You wouldn't have thought of anything of it. It's all because you had that one air freshener plugged in.
So it's just like looking out for different triggers.
Also,
well, let's move.
Just one last thing.
Go on.
One last thing on this side of things with the vets is try steer with the vets. Try steer clear of anything that's going to depress the immune or suppress the immune system. So anything that's going to stop vaccination while you're treating yeast infections. I wouldn't vaccinate your dog. I wouldn't flea treat your dog, and I wouldn't worm your dog, because these are immunodepressants. So they're going to make your immune system shut down, and you don't want this to be happening if you're treating yeast, because you need your defense. You know, you need your defense mechanism to be concentrating on getting that balance back to where it should be.
That's a really, really good point, actually, because, you know, there's so many dogs that are put on like immune suppressant kind of like medication for this, and then obviously it's counteractive. So that's really good advice.
And then very much so. I mean, I'm not going to stand here and say, you know, don't go to vets, don't do what they do, don't use their medicine, don't do this, but there's time and places to do it. I mean, if your dog's already very ill, don't make it worse. You know, just make sure you're thinking about your dog and thinking, right, well, if I put this vaccine into them, you know, it's an immunodepressant, so now he's not going to be able to fight the yeast infection. It's actually probably going to get worse. And then you're going to end up with a really bad problem because you're going to have an infection in the skin, and I don't want to scare everyone.
Well, I mean, Tony's just said be really careful with detergent to use on the floors, but I think, again, it's any sort of like
fabric softener. So whatever you do, use fabric softener on anything you wash your dogs with. Because that is something which is very known to cause allergies, very known, or sensitivities. Yeah, fabric softener, stick well pretty well. Yeah, very much so.
Okay, well, let's move on a little bit now to about the transition into from are we going to say like a dry kibble diet?
Yes, so if we go from, let's say, a dried food or dry or wet food over to a raw or over to a fresh diet. To begin with, I think we'll just go through a few things that you're going to need. So a few things to think about before you start feeding raw. So one of the big things is going to be finding your fresh quality ingredients and finding a very good manufacturer. That's up to what I feel the person that's buying the food for their dog. I mean, do your research, find out what their ethics are or what they do, what their push is behind the company. Make sure they're, following the lifestyle that we're all following. You know, we're trying to go natural, we're trying to save the planet, and all these, you know, we're trying to do the world better, as it were. If you follow these people which are really passionate about what they do, you're going to get a much better quality ingredient because they're putting so much into what they're doing. You know, they haven't just gone, we can just mince some raw food and make money off dogs. You know, they're really enthusiastic about what they're doing, which is in companies.
It's got good energy in it.
Exactly, and that is one of the most important things for me for a company is to see the energy they add into it and to see what they are, you know, to see how much they're really pushing to succeed and do better as a company and to help all the dogs out there. You know, and I think the more hard these companies work and the more information they're willing to share, the more they're willing to help you. They're better people to be around and they're better companies to work with because they're easier and the ingredients do tend to be better for your dog, let's say. Try and choose British. It's always good to support British farming. I used to be a farmer and I think we all should be supporting British farming. Try and make sure your ingredients are British. I know that some people, if you're dealing with a yeast infection that's being caused by an allergic reaction, then you may need to find novel proteins from abroad, which is fair, which is okay. I mean, if you have to do something, you have to do something, but do try to feed British where possible. Also, this will have less food miles on it. They'll have been slaughtered nicely rather than some of these other countries which don't do very nicely. And so they're I guess they're restricted by UK regulations, which will make their food much better than some foods out there which aren't monitored as such.
What kind of ingredients should somebody kind of like start with when they're transitioning?
That's interesting. To begin with, less is better, I feel. So when you first start raw, I did it when I first started doing it. I jumped in and chucked everything in my dog. Things went wrong, and my dog was, I don't know, it didn't harm him in any way, but it just didn't go the way I planned it. So for me, I'll take a step back. I'll start slowly, so I'd introduce one thing at a time every week, and I'll do this over a prolonged period. So let's say, for instance, if you start week 1, we'll go for that. If you start in week 1, use a protein that you know works really well for your dog. So let's not use something that we think our dog's intolerant to, because that's going to cause issues straight off the bat. And if you're changing,
how would you know that though? If you're going from a kibble straight to a raw, how would you know what to choose?
Yeah, so let's say you're going from a chicken and rice based kibble, and you're changing because your dog's got severe diarrhea and yeasty skin, for instance. It's probably a good bet that your dog's going to have an intolerance to chicken, especially if you fed that chicken throughout its entire life. So let's say you've fed this chicken and rice biscuit for its entire life. You found that in the past 3 months it's starting to get diarrhea, it doesn't go away, it's getting colitis, etc. When you transfer over, I wouldn't go for what you had fed before because that wasn't working. So, you know,
Yeah,
it's I don't know. I guess it's just trying to use what you've got in front of you and watching your dog, knowing about your dog, knowing what it can eat, what it can't eat. So if you and also there are certain proteins which are just better to start off with than others. So chicken and
yeah,
turkey, I find are the best ones, or chicken, turkey, and veal, I find tend to be the best ones. Um,
yeah,
Personally, I don't know why. It just works for me. Turkey is an easily digested meat, and it has a calming effect on the animal. So that could bonus. It'll have a calming effect on the digestive system as well. So
yeah.
that could be a very good positive to starting with turkey. But yeah, turkey, chicken, or veal. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're really good places to start. That's the
Do,
point
do
to
you,
start with.
yeah, do you find that that people that in your experience that they will kind of think about moving over to raw and natural foods only when their dog's really got maybe a sensitivity, a digestive problem, skin problem, or do you just get some people that kind of think, you know what, I've read a lot about raw, I think it might be a good idea, nutritionally more beneficial to actually move across to feed raw. So you've got two trains of thought there, really.
I think a lot of the thought is why pick something that's not broken. So people
Yeah.
are feeding processed foods, and they go, "Well, my dog does really well on it, so it's not broken. So why should I change it?" And as
Yeah.
much as
Until it's broken.
you know, and as much as I can sit here and support that theory and that it is really working for your dog. No,
Yeah.
any amount of fresh food will always be better than processed food, and you know we
Yeah.
see
Like ourselves. It's like what we eat ourselves,
yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
So it's,
I mean,
you
processed
know,
food is all right. I mean, if you're going on holiday for a weekend, you know, take some processed food. You know, if your dog does okay on it, that's fine. You know, that's
yeah.
absolutely fine. You know, for a weekend, it'll be okay. You know,
Yeah.
some people really struggle with raw when they go on holiday. And you know, there's many people out there that go, "Well, you can only feed raw once you're on raw, and that's it." No, you're fine. You can feed pretty much what you like as long as your dog does okay on it. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's like before, I guess before I started this whole thing, started doing loads of research. When I went on holiday, I took biscuits with me, and then when I was at home, I fed raw, and my dog was absolutely fine. Yeah, as much
Yeah.
as feeding these biscuits will cause problems in the long run, if you're feeding them just for a weekend or while you're away on holiday, is
Yeah.
there a
It's
massive
perfectly
problem?
okay.
Probably not. You know, I had McDonald's last weekend, and I'm not dead yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, but yeah,
So that's kind of like week one then. So
yeah. So
what kind of like,
yeah,
yeah.
week one is basically you find a protein that works for your dog. You find a manufacturer that that you like and you support. I mean, there's no reason why you can't use multiple manufacturers. They're all using the same meat. It's all chicken. It's all beef. So you can jump around suppliers if you want. To begin with, I'll try stick to the prey model diets with no veg in. I mean, well, you can go for the veg, but then if you're dealing with a yeast problem or an allergy, you don't know if the vegetables that are in that are the problem. So for me, to
Yeah.
start
Yeah.
with, I would use just whole prey model diet, which is just the meat, the 80-10-10, and add on from that. So you'll go week one. Let's say you're using turkey. You can use turkey and boneless. So you're going to use a complete to begin with, and you're going to mix the complete with a boneless 50-50, just to pull that bone content down a little bit, just so the gut can get used to it over the next week to be ready to go full complete. Week two, I would just add.
Luke, sorry, interrupting you there. Would you suggest that they completely go from their kibble dry to raw, or should they actually give a little bit and a little bit
I'm
and
missing
move
all
it
the
across
really
that way?
important bits here. No, but yeah, no. For me, cold turkey has always worked best. I'm not going to say it's going to be the best for you, but it's always worked best for me.
Yeah.
I've tried taking dogs over slowly. If I'm honest, it just puts pressure on the digestive system that's really not needed.
Yeah.
So you may as well just go
Right.
completely cold turkey, change everything instantly, and the gut go, right, let's wake up and let's sort this out and digest what we. And it doesn't take long for the gut microbes to change. They're very versatile and they're very adaptive, so it won't take them to adjust to.
Will you see any real immediate signs, like maybe digestive issues within the first few days, or difference in their stools,
Yeah.
and what kind of?
The first,
Yeah.
yeah, always the first few days has always been that people come running in and they say, oh, my dog's drinking so much less, is that a problem? My stools are so much smaller, is that a problem? Uh, Sometimes you'll get dogs come in with serious digestive problems, and you'll put them on raw, and it will just vanish. We had a person come in which was in tears. Yeah, I've dealt with a person before that was in tears. Their dog had pancreatitis. The only option was to put it down. We got on a raw diet. You know, I monitored it. I made sure I made slight changes, and you know, a few days later, she came running in, hugging me, kissing me, crying, saying, "You've saved my dog." It's but there are these miracle things do happen. So, you know, if you've got a very, very big problem, you've got a very big allergy problem, you know, your cure might be raw. Sometimes you can go over to fresh food, and it just goes. Like these bad health niggles just disappear, and you just don't see them. And then within like 3 or 4 weeks, you'll probably start to see the coat change somewhat. Within 6 months, you'll probably start to see them gain much more definition, but then that depends on how it gets, you do. But a dog fed on raw, they tend to lose that layer of fat that they have under their skin, and they become much more defined. So you can see the muscles and all that. They just become.
Yeah, and I suppose as well, you know, that the reason for that the health benefits quite quick is the fact, obviously, like a kibble process sort of food is going to be very much, we've talked about this before, starved of the essential fatty acids. It's not going to have the necessary amount, not all, don't get me wrong, but a majority of like the dried food is not going to have the amount of protein and the nutrients in it that it actually needs. So I suppose moving across like that is bound to be quite a significant health difference, and also maybe in behaviour maybe as well, because if they're starved of
the availability of the nutrients in the processed food, which makes it difficult. It's just the availability. I mean, you know, your body, you can ingest it, but it doesn't necessarily mean your body knows exactly what to do with it, because you see so much waste coming out of the back end of a dog, let's say, fed processed food, that we do need to sit here and think, well, why are we pumping this into our dogs if they're just not digesting it? We're sort of just wasting our time trying to pump something into our dogs that our dogs just don't need. You know, they need a diet which is less, but you know, nutritionally dense. Like, so it has everything that they need in there, and it has a lot of it, but in a little amount. Because that supports great health, rather than trying to feed them loads of something that's just all right.
Yeah. So kind of progressing on then maybe to like week 2, what kind of
week 1 you do the 50-50 cold turkey. Week 2 we're going to move on, we're going to add something new in. So every week that moves on, we'll add a new meat in, a new protein, turkey, beef, chicken. So let's say week 1 you did turkey, week 2 we're going to do turkey and beef, and we're going to see how we get on with turkey and beef. So you're going to do this as the weeks start going on. So week 2 you're going to add a protein in. Week 3 you're going to add a different one in. So you fed turkey, you fed beef, and you fed duck. So you can feed turkey, beef, and duck, and you know you've got no problems whatsoever. You know these proteins work, and you know your dog does well on them. I'd probably go after that. You can start adding in meaty bones if you want. So I normally say at week 3 you can add in meaty bone, but then I guess there's safety things to stick to. The meaty bone has to be the rough size of your dog's head, so it's not going to swallow it. Or if you've got something like a chicken wing and you've got a big dog, get some thighs on it, hold it, and then get your dog chewing on it. And don't be scared of bones. They are absolutely great for cleaning your dog's teeth, and for all-round health, I think they're crucial to be.
Are there certain types of bones you should ever avoid? Or
yes, I personally wouldn't feed marrow bones. Any weight-bearing bone, I wouldn't bother. It's just not worth the risk. It's not worth cracking their teeth. It's not worth the problems that they may cause. So I would just use soft bones, so non-weight-bearing bones, to feed your dogs. And there's just no need to feed massive marrow bones, if I'm honest. You can if you want, but there's just no massive need to do so. They get all the food they want, chomping on necks and ribs and other bits like that without chipping their teeth.
Yeah. So pretty much maybe after a few weeks then, when you've added the other bits in, you should be pretty much where you want to be in terms of what you want to feed on an ongoing basis. But is that correct? Yeah.
So basically you're going to start adding in different proteins, and you're going to always be using completes, because if you just start, stick where you're comfortable, use completes if you want. But if you're really confident and you want to go for DIY, go for it. But you know, stick with what you know, and that way you'll get it right first time.
Because completes are ready made, aren't they, from firms? So
so the completes are the 80-10-10. As long as you just you look on the boxes and you make sure it says complete on it, or a formula food, something that makes sure it states that it is a complete food for your dog to eat. And then a few things I would just add in. Once you get to, let's say, week 5, you can start adding your vegetables in slowly if you want to feed vegetables. Another thing is your omega-3s and 6s. So you're going to need to supplement something like that. Again, it can be flaxseed oil if you want, some sort of other animal oil, or you can add fish in. If you're adding fish into your diet, I'd still supplement the omegas, just because you know that if you're using a very good supplement, they are getting what it says on the tin. And not, if you feed a fish, I don't know Has it oxidized? Has it not? Are they really getting
Yeah.
enough? I don't know. You know, it's okay. Feed fish, but also I would advise put a supplement in there as well, just for the omega-3s.
Yeah.
And then you can start adding things in along the lines of eggs and other food types that you feel your dog needs. Or if your dog's got a health issue, you can add in things to the diet to help with those health issues. If your dog hasn't got health issues, I probably wouldn't so much just start taking loads of herbs in dog's food and all that sort of stuff, because it's not necessary. And you may overload your dog with all different types of nutrients. You may as well just keep it simple, keep it plain, and stick with what you know.
Yeah. And again, understand your dog, and if they're actually they're seeming a bit lethargic, or they're seeming like they still have got irritation for one reason or another, and sensitivities, or kind of historically they've got a certain issue, then obviously support that with a supplement. So
another thing on the change over to raw as well. If you've got a dog, it's quite, I won't say the name of the brand of food, but it's quite funny that the dog was on a certain brand of food, and when they had it on this food, it used to literally bounce off the walls. And then we put it on raw, and then it completely calmed down, was, used to just chill out, enjoy its life. And then we rehomed her, and then they put her back on what she was on before, and the same thing, like she literally was bouncing off everywhere. And to watch a dog like that, you're like, your neurons in your head must just be going absolutely insane. How do you know what you're doing? It's like dealing with a child with ADHD.
Well, or it's constantly on different colorants the whole time. Elena said, make sure you save a protein in case you need to do an elimination diet. I didn't, and now I can't do an elimination diet to see what protein my boy is allergic to.
Interesting. That's an interesting question. So, I guess the one for that would be to go for a test, an intolerance test, let's say, to see what your dog is allergic to. But I think Elaine has done that. I'm pretty sure she has. I'm sure she's shown it to me. And but no, I do see where people are coming from, especially when they feed every single week. But then I guess, I mean that's why I say to stick British, and then if you want to get novel proteins, you can always go abroad to get them. Like you can start feeding kangaroo, zebra.
As companies, aren't they? From all nations, we're getting all sorts.
That's it. I mean, you are fine.
Probably what would be a good idea, guys, is if because obviously there's a lot of information to kind of take in there, what Lucas kind of talked about. So we could perhaps do a bit of a sheet, really, a bit of a chart to kind of say week 1, week 2, and progressing, to give you guys a bit more. I
have done a YouTube video of starting your dog.
Oh, marvellous.
So I could tag it in underneath, and that has like little bits of paper that flow across the screen and tell you what you need to be doing and everything. So that would probably be easier for me to do that, and people would be able to watch that and see what we need. But I should have bits of paper here. I have bits of paper for me to look at and read off, but I should have a bit like factual sheets, you know what I mean, so I can show people.
Yeah. Well, if you put a link to that YouTube on well, obviously your kind of like page, but also share it to Proflax, and obviously anybody can pick up on that.
I should be able to tag it in the comments below, so I should be able to do that. That then runs through all of the weights and ratios and percentages and all these things then, rather than me sitting here for an hour doing that. It'd probably be better if we were to do
that. And everybody going, what did he say?
Yeah, what was that? What was that? Without rewind and listen to him again.
Right, okay, well, that's great. Fantastic. Thanks again for joining me this evening.
I do hope you've all learned something. I'm sweating like crazy.
I have learned.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you all have learned something. Comment below if you have any questions. It's much easier for me to reply to a question, let's say, that's quite complicated. I can go and look it up and so any questions people do have, do please comment.
Yeah, please do, because then it would be great to have Luke back on, and obviously we can talk about anything that you know nutritionally or from a raw, natural, fresh perspective. We can cover that in the coming weeks. If Luke's happy to come back, then that would be great.
Yeah, I've quite enjoyed doing the research and reading. It's been quite exciting.
Well, thank you very much. Enjoy your evening, and everybody enjoy your evenings.
Yeah, I'll see you all later.
All right, see you later. Bye. Bye.